What is good? What is good, y'all? Y'all know it has been a minute, but your girl is getting geared back up. And guess what? Tonight is the first official episode of Wake Up Liberia. Y'all know what it is. Wake up, y'all. Tonight we are going to be definitely talking about the election going on right now in Liberia. We do have a special guest with us tonight, and I think you're going to enjoy Reverend Torli. He is a very, very wonderful colleague of mine, and he has been on the forefront of so many projects, uplifting Liberia. You know what I mean? So I want y'all to sit back, kick back, and y'all know how we do right here. This still the Freestyle Live platform, baby. We will be getting geared up June 3rd. I'm not gonna tell you who our guest is yet, but we going to Bollywood, y'all. Y'all know what it is. It's your girl, DJ Go Getta, Freestyle Live.
Wake up to reality.
Let's go.
They never hear nothing. So when I start, they go see something. When you're up, they go hear something. When you're up, they go hear something. Life no be Nollywood. That's why I know they shine in my 32. But I'm still on the move. Shaping a music video for you. Free me, free me, free me. Make I live my life. Free me, free me, free me. Make I live my life. Free me, free me, free me. Make I live my life. Oh, oh, yeah. Papi dele, papi reggae, papi shege. For that, suru lere. No lele, them quere. Right now, all the men start to want to quere. For where no where, coke where, no sleeping, man dele. My blues, my reggae, them so jolly us, make up quere. Oh, yeah. They never hear nothing. They never hear nothing. And if I start on the mic, they must to see something. They must to see something. Life no mean Hollywood. That's why I know they smile in my 32. Hey, but I'm still on the move. Shaping a music video body you. Free me, free me, free me. Make I live my life. Free me, free me, free me. Make I live my life. Free me, free me, free me. Make I live my life. Oh, yeah.
Big up to everyone tonight. Y'all know I never try to get on the political regime front of things, but there is a lot of things going on in the news, and it is concerning, especially with the US dollar, the new European Union definitely forming in our face. There is so much to talk about. And, I know there's a lot of people that say, well, why do you care so much about Liberia? Why do you care so much about Africa? Well, it is a second home for me. So that's why I care about the development of it as well. While I try to get Reverend Torli on the platform, y'all know what to do. Just chill out, hang out just 1 second, and I will be right back getting everything together. There we go. Reverend Torli, we got you in the building. This your girl, DJ Go Getta, y'all. Wake up, Liberia. We're going to be talking about a few topics tonight. We're going to touch on so many different things, but our guest tonight has a wonderful program that he is getting ready to launch and that he is interested definitely in informing all Liberians to their rights in so many, many ways. I would like to welcome Reverend Torli Krua to our platform here. How you doing, Reverend? I'm gonna call you
Thank
Rev.
thank you. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Well, I am going to go over and give a brief overview of your biography. You have an extensive history of just being on the front lines of so many different projects for Africa, the empowerment for Africa. You are a fellow Liberian from Nimba County. Um, so, give us a little bit of your history and why do you feel like it is your duty to educate Liberians on so many things?
Well, thank you so very, very, very much. I'm Torli Krua, kwa Abi Torli. I was born in Tapeta, Nima County, and I went to school. The first school was established by my dad. Had it not been for my father and his friends, I would not even be educated because where the village I'm from, that I grew up, is so remote. The government did not build schools in those areas. Missionaries did not build schools in those areas, and concessions like Lamco, the mining company, did not build schools in those areas. And so
Mm-hmm.
my father, Reverend Monsi Kura Senior, and his friends, Reverend Deman and others, came together to build a school to educate. They were ministers of the gospel, but the missionaries told them you don't need to educate your children because Jesus is coming quickly, and we will be getting out of this world. We need to go to heaven. But my
Mm-hmm.
father and his friends said, no, we are going to educate our children. And so he became the first principal of Zia Mission School. And I feel compelled to educate Liberians because I've been so fortunate. I've gotten so much. And the Bible said to him that much is given, much shall be required. And what I've learned of democracy, what I've learned of human rights, of telecommunications, of computers, I want to pass it on to my fellow men because of a very simple reason. Today, God is sending across the villages of Africa and Liberia many scientists, many inventors, many engineers. But these people live and die and go into their grave and die without making any contributions to the world because of lack of opportunities and lack of education. And so I feel compelled because I was fortunate to give back uh, to my country and my people.
Well, you know what, Reverend Torley, I frequent Liberia. My husband is Liberian, so I have family there. And I frequent Liberia, and economically, and I know we have challenges here in the U.S. Don't get me wrong, we are nowhere near perfect, but economically, I see a wonderful people that have the will and the want to thrive. What are you looking for in these elections that's going on this time around from all of the nominees going on there?
Well, so democracy is not what foreign governments do in a country. Democracy is not what foreign loans and foreign companies do in the country. Democracy is not what the United States or United Kingdom or China does in the country. Democracy is what the people do themselves, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And if you don't have participatory democracy where these engineers, these potential engineers, scientists, uh, inventors that are standing can be able to bring forth to the world their gifts and talents, then you don't really have a country. My appeal to those who are going to vote, as well as those who are running, is based on the truth. Liberia is not a democracy. It was not created by the people. It was created by white slave masters, and a fisherman cannot set a trap that is going to help the fish. The fisherman's goal is to consume the fish. We don't have a democracy. If you're going to build a skyscraper, you don't start with the roof or the foundation. You start with a blueprint. Our blueprint was designed by white slave masters and the government of the United States through two bills passed by the United States Congress, and those bills were designed to fulfill American domestic and foreign policy agenda. Liberia does not have democracy, and so I'm appealing to the Liberian people. According to the blueprint for the American government is found in the American Declaration of Independence. It talks about the rights of the people to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Those three elements are absent in Liberia because the government of Liberia was created to empower and enrich rich politicians. If you are not rich, you cannot win elections in Liberia. If you are not a politician, you cannot win elections in Liberia. And the government was created to empower and enrich the politicians. It was not created to serve the people. So if people believe that this country and this government that was created to empower and enrich politicians is going to bring change in their life, they're making a sad mistake. We've seen already over 200 years. It has not produced that. You reap what you sow. Now is the time for us to draw a blueprint for Liberia, and we have to do it at a sovereign national conference where the people themselves will create the blueprint, and then civic leaders will come from the people, not based on wealth. The election commission and the election laws are rigged against the people. If you don't have money, you can't go. And then once these people get elected, they cannot serve the people. They have not been able to serve the people because the government, the system of governance is corrupt by design. And so Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said she did not know that the government of Liberia was, she knew there was corruption, but she didn't know corruption in Liberia was systemic. 40 years of her life criticizing.
I agree. I agree it is.
She spent 40 years of her life criticizing government. She spent 12 years of her life serving as president. She was able to accomplish nothing at the end. She could not fight because it is systemic. So now it's time for us to sow a new seed, to bring to birth a new country of democracy, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Now, Reverend Torley, I know that you do have a training program that you are encouraging Liberians to, and I think your program is not just for Liberians, but people that want to see, growth and development in the country. Um, your program speaks about, the rights and responsibilities that Liberians actually have due to the Declaration of Independence, and I think they're kind of unknown, especially with the U.S. visa situation and what's going on at the embassy there. People are, waiting for 2 and 3 plus years just to get interviews, and going through so many things trying to get their family members here. I do want you to speak a little bit about your program and what someone would actually get out of taking that training and how would they apply it in the country.
So, from what I was told when I was growing up, was that Liberia was a country that was created by free American slaves. That narrative came from the United States government and it came from other sources. That narrative is completely false. Liberia was not created by free American slaves. Liberia was created, like I said, by the March 26, 1790 law of the United States, passed by the United States, dominated by slave masters and signed by President George Washington, who himself was a slave master. It said only white persons could be citizens of the United States. That law,
Hmm.
this is for which Liberia was created, to, to create a security in the United States so slaves wouldn't revolt. They'll remain in slavery, but they're going to be happy in slavery. And then on March 3, 1819, Congress passed a second law that was trying to stop importation of new slaves into the United States. That law appropriated $100,000 of American taxes to create the colony of Liberia. That law also authorized the United States Navy to create the colony of Liberia. Now, fast forward to 1824, the first constitution of Liberia, which is still enforced today, says all persons born in Liberia are entitled to all privileges enjoyed by citizens of the United States because Liberia was an extension of the United States government. The American Colonization Society was not registered when Liberia was created. It was not even incorporated until 1831. And it was reincorporated again in Maryland in 1837. Liberia started in 1819 when Congress passed that law. And so Liberians have privilege today. Over 70% of everyone in Liberia seeking to get visa to the United States to visit family, to go to school for business purposes or employment get denied at the embassy. Over 70%. Compare that to Sierra Leone. Compare that to Guinea or even all of the countries in our area. Liberia is the fourth worst visa refusal country in the world. And it's not because Liberians are exceptionally crazy or breaking the rules. It is because of racial discrimination. That
So,
is,
do you believe the country is blacklisted?
it's more than blacklisted. It's doomed. It's blacklisted. And I can tell you another thing. I worked as a computer specialist at the United States Embassy during the war. The war. And while I was there, I saw with my own two eyes a woman that had lived in the United States for years, went to school, went to graduate school, had several graduate degrees, had money in the bank in the United States that left here to go back to Liberia to live and work. She was denied visa with a child in her arms, and they dragged her away from the visa from the visa booth because she was not allowed to come to the United States. Liberia is more than blacklisted.
Oh, wow.
When they say when the United States Embassy says, for example, these people have failed the interview, they have not failed any interview. They it's rigged against them. And I'm saying it, and there's a document which we have filed in court to get declassified, which says deny all these black Liberians visa, but grant visa to Lebanese and Indians. That document exists, and we are going to declassify that document. But beyond that, beyond the treatment that Liberians get at the embassy, denial of visa, etc., compared to other countries in the region, the United States makes money from these Liberians. A lot of the people who go to the embassy and get denied pay a fee for visa. They pay $160, which is more than what they pay. But at the end of the day, they take the money and deny them visa. And there is not a soul, there's not a man or woman in Liberia that has stood up to say this is corruption, this cannot continue. Until this year, on the 18th of January, during Martin Luther King week, we went to
Hmm.
Monroe and presented a petition. And the petition is for visa waiver for all Liberians because currently all of the top officials of government in Liberia have American citizenship or American permanent residency green card. All of the diaspora Liberians like myself, we have American citizenship and permanent green card. The first 10 presidents of Liberia were citizens of the United States. They were not free slaves. Joseph Jenkins Robert was not a free slave. Stephen
Hmm.
Allen Jackson was not a free slave. And moreover, people from 40 different countries, including enemies of the United States, are allowed to come to the United States to reap the reward, to reap the fruits that we built as Africans, as Liberians. And there is not one African nation among the visa waiver countries. Now is the time for change. And I'm calling on all of the people who are running for government. They have to understand we don't have a fair system. The East NEC, National Election Commission, is not fair. They charge a huge amount of money. You have to pay $5,000 United States dollars for access, for ballot access. That
Oh,
is
wow.
that is crazy. In Massachusetts, where I am, all you need is 300 registered voters. In New Jersey, you need 800 registered voters. That's all you need to get on the ballot to be president of the United States. But the ballot access is completely out of the range of the people. And so all these people who are running, people are rejoicing. They rejoice during Ellen's time. They thought it was going to bring change. They rejoiced during George Weah's ascension to power. They rejoiced during Charles Taylor's coming to power. They rejoiced during the coup d'etat. But what they have to realize, you reap what you sow. Until we as a people can have a sovereign national conference and sow the seed of participatory democracy, we are doomed. This, whatever government comes will be able to do what the United States ambassador just described. Take all the money and put it in their pocket. That's the design. That's the
Yes, it
blue.
is. And it's sad to say, me visiting the country, it's a beautiful country, so much potential. The people want to thrive. There's buyers and sellers. The marketplace needs to be definitely up. There are so many things that I can just think of off the top of my head that I wonder and I ask myself, why hasn't the government put these things in place to create jobs, to create opportunities? Why are the roads undeveloped? The policemen are corrupt for no apparent reason. And so it's like, even when you visit, you begin to learn and know these things to learn how to maneuver in Liberia, because that's just the way. So I do want to ask, because I know that there's a lot of Liberians that feel that everyone that has left Liberia and came to the US pretty much, feels like, okay, don't disturb what we have going on here. We're trying
Mm.
to figure this out. How do you respond to something like that? And how would your program empower Liberians that are still in the country?
Well, so here's it. Here's the thing. Talking about the program. What we learn in the program, everyone who participates in the program, the first thing you do is you have to find soil. Soil is free in Liberia. You have to find soil and you have to sow seeds. Everyone is required to find soil, which is free, and find seeds and sow seed at the beginning of the course and water the seed until it germinates and grows. You have to do that because the Bible says you reap what you sow. And a lot of people in Liberia now in government and working on the street think that they can just get something out of the clear blue sky. It doesn't work that way. We want to
Hmm.
encourage in the minds of these people, you reap what you sow. That's the first thing. The second thing we try to instill in the minds of the people is why. Why is it that Japan, the former enemy of the United States, has visa waiver and we don't? The richest man in Japan today, graduated from UCLA in California, he's the richest, he's a billionaire in Japan. Why do they have visa waiver that we don't? Why is it that companies like Daewoo in Korea, Samsung, why is it that the people who founded some of these companies graduated from school in the United States and they have visa waiver to the United States and we don't? The answer I found was in James chapter 4, verse 2 in the Bible. You have not because you ask not. We have never
Amen.
asked before. We have never asked before, and we have felt that some person in the White House that doesn't know or is going to be fighting in our interest. But the Bible says you have not because you ask not. Also in Matthew chapter 7, verse 7, it says, ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be open. And that's exactly what we want people to do. Instead of just sitting down and walking around and saying, oh, it's not going to happen, it cannot happen here. We want people to sow seeds. And secondly, Nigeria is a very religious country. I know at least five imams that are working with me. There are several pastors that are also working with me. I want this lesson to be taught in churches. God did not create people to go to heaven, directly to heaven without having an impact on this earth. He placed everyone here for a reason. There is a purpose for each soul and each body that is coming to earth. And these people have been living and dying without impacting God's creation. If God wanted to create all these people in heaven, he could do that right away. But he
Hmm.
has given them free knowledge. He's given them talents. But those talents will go in the grave unless people have quality education, unless people have access to opportunity. And the opportunities in America, we are entitled by law. We are entitled to it more than any other country. Moreover, right now in the United States, people living in 5 territories, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, etc. They come to the United States for education. For they come here for employment. They come here for business opportunity without visa. Why not Liberians? We have the United States a colonizing power. This country does not belong to the United States. It was taken over from Native Americans. There are 516 sovereign Native American nations in the United States that have been currently colonized by the United States of America. And each one of those sovereign nations have access to the United States of America. Why shouldn't we? The United States had a treaty with the Creek tribe that every enslaved person and free person prior to their coming there has the right to citizenship. If it is
Mm-hmm.
good for, why not for the Liberians? We have not asked at all. And that's why we have prepared a petition. We presented it to the ambassador on the 18th of January. We have not received a reply. On the 3rd of July, we are planning another rally at the United States Embassy in Monrovia to ask for a reply. If you can do it for people, 516 sovereign nations, you can do it for Liberia too. And again, the government of Liberia is going nowhere. The whole country is going nowhere because of this. The people who founded Liberia were not black. They were not Liberians. They were neither African or even African Americans. Those who created Liberia were slave masters headed by James Monroe. So in 2023, today, we have the capital city of an African nation named in honor of a slave master who never freed a single slave. He started owning human beings when he was 16 years old. James Monroe. He sold human beings to get to the United States Congress. He sold human beings, and that's how he got rich to become president of the United States of America. A slave master's name should not be on the capital city of an African country. Where is Frederick Douglass? Where is Martin Luther King Jr.? Where is Nelson Mandela? It doesn't make sense. We don't country. It's time to start from scratch, have a rebirth of a new country. And then I'm calling on everyone that is running today to join us for the Sovereign National Conference because before October comes, Liberian will realize that what they're doing for their children, this visa waiver is going to benefit their children. Voting has benefited nobody, and it's not going to benefit anyone, politicians. And so I'm calling on those civic leadership, broken, rotten to the core. It's time for rebirth and renewal of our nation.
Do you think the Liberian people want that for their country?
Yes,
Do you
yes.
think that they are comfortable with how things are? I do see a lot of Lebanese having access to business all throughout the country, restaurants, hardware stores, grocery stores. They pretty much dominate in your country.
Oh, so I started a business. I started a business in Liberia. It was called High Tech Application, Computer and Telecommunication Consultancy, and it was going to
Mhm.
be one of the biggest companies in Africa. But guess what happened? I sat in Ethiopia, capital of Liberia, and wrote a letter to to a gentleman I've interviewed to work for my company from Sudan. Sudan that is having a conflict today. He took that letter from me from my company in Liberia, United States Embassy in Khartoum. He a visa to travel to San Diego for training that was paid for by my company. I did the same thing for like for Senegalese national. I wrote a letter. But when I wrote a letter for two Liberians to get visa to come to the same training, they were both denied by the United States Embassy. An Indian person in the business, high tech business in my country, has more
Mhm.
opportunity than I do. Today, the gentleman who is the head of Liberia Initiative, Dr. was born in Liberia, in India, but he escaped during the war because he was not black Liberian. Other people were
Mhm.
Jamaican and they remained, and many of them died. And so, the opportunity for Liberians to be there, but we need to open the door. We need the first gate we need to crack is this. If everyone who believes in the Eastern Waiver program can assign, everyone can go through the training. If people who are praying to God 5 times a day, people who are going to church and praying with, if they can join with us this year, we're going to make that a reality. All Liberians will have, they will have access just like the Koreans, and they will get education. And this business of government earning millions of dollars from poor Liberians when the opposition travel freely. The top opposition politician American, the top ruling party American, first lady American. The is built in inequality. You can't country in inequality. It's going to change.
And that was a question I had, with the president and first lady having that experience, um, coming from Jamaica and Liberia to the United States and having those opportunities. And most of, you know, Liberians or politicians that have the opportunity to come back and forth would
Yes,
want to push
children.
that for the country. And it boggled me, that it is, you can't get anyone to say anything when it comes to that embassy. You can't do
Well,
it. You can't get any correspondence. You can't get any answers. Even when you Google anything in Liberia, economically, agriculturally, nothing has been updated since 2014.
let me. This is a quote from the slave master, bourgeois Washington. One of the guys we honor. We honor in Liberia. We honor Monroe, President of the United States. We honor bourgeois Washington, bourgeois Allen. Name, he was the first president of the ACS. We honor the Supreme Court, John Marshall City, etc.
Hmm.
The problem is when you have this construct, when you have print created by slave masters, then all of these politicians are in the of the foreign government. They are in the pocket of the foreign companies, and that's their elected. But they don't do what the people want. What they do is the will of the United States government, the will of other governments that they can beg for money. And you're not going to believe this. The salaries of Liberian lawmakers is higher than the salaries of American lawmakers. In
This, oh
Massachusetts,
my God, the salaries over there are ridiculous.
we have a 56
No,
billion
$50, $100 a month. Someone works for the whole entire month.
the security, the police, immigration. Immigration officers get $100 a month.
Hmm.
$100 a month. But the office of the speaker, $2 million. Okay, and so these people make outrageous. The salary of a lawmaker is $200 for a 2-year term. In Rhode Island, with a $13 billion budget, the salary of lawmakers is $15,000 a year. In Massachusetts, $6 billion, is about 50 around $1,000 a year, about $5,000. So the Liberian government was designed to empower and enrich politics. But guess what? Of the ordinary poor person on the street that makes the president president. It's that vote that makes the speaker speaker. And now we are asking it for 200 years for the politicians. This year we vote for their children, their children's children.
Hmm.
Because it's a matter of life. There's racialistic killings in Liberia because once you become a representative, you become rich. Once you become president, you become rich. That system is destructive. According to the American Declaration of Independence, the purpose of government is to protect the rights of the citizen, the right to the pursuit of happiness. That's the purpose of to protect those rights. If whenever the government becomes destructive, it cannot form these rights, that government needs to be abolished. I believe the systemic failure of Liberia is solved by putting a new president in power. We tried that so many times for 200 years. It hasn't worked. Now it's time to get rid of the whole system and create a new system that have the people that guarantees justice and equal opportunities. Land, we have Massachusetts, we have that, we have that in a few states. We can also have it in Liberia. I have studied terribly. There are people in Liberia. I know, for example, Senator Siakor from Polk County. He was one of those who have been calling for. But when he was in the House, he opposed that at all. And you cannot oppose it from the House because it has to be from the street. Martin Luther King Jr. would never have brought change to the United States if he had going to be elected a member of the Senate because there was going to be majority rule. He was not going to get anything. But from the street, that's where we have to do it. If you want to make change in the country, you have to do it by mobilizing the people first, teaching the people, which is what we're doing, creating awareness, mobilizing the people to stand up, be counted. Nelson Mandela would never have brought freedom to South Africa if he had served in the South African apartheid government. You have to do it from the outside, and that's what we have to do.
Yes, I totally agree. Do you feel it is just lack of education and awareness of foreign policies, just policies as a whole, when it comes to the Liberian people with choosing their candidates? What empowerment will your program give Liberians when it comes to making those kind of decisions for the country, and how can they access your program and training?
Okay, so the website is freeliberia.org, free Liberia, that's FREELIBERIA.org. And on Facebook is the Free Liberia Movement. So here's the thing. The companies the companies in capitalism around the world are interested in the raw materials in Africa. They're looking for sales to be the president, to be the Speaker of the House, etc. That's what these companies want. The governments of the world are looking for clients. They're looking for people to be on their side. For example, recently there's been a flow of people, of officials leaving the United States to go to Africa, scouting for friends. They always fly over Liberia. But why fly over red, white, and blue and go to Ghana? Why fly over red, white, and blue established by American laws and go to Zambia? It doesn't make sense because
Does
American foreign policy is broken. It's broken and it needs to be straightened up. And so one of the things that we're trying to do in Liberia is that we don't want to walk by ourselves. We want to do this jointly with American citizens. The first person who said to me that Liberians don't require a visa to come to the United States was Representative Benjamin Swan from Massachusetts. He visited Liberia 3 times and he said, "Do you know your country citizens don't require a visa to come?" I said, "Oh no, we are a sovereign country. We are an independent sovereign country." He said, "You are an independent sovereign country? You sure of that?" I said, "Yes." He said, "What about Japan? Why is it that Japanese come to the United States?" And Japan was not created by the United States of America. Why Korea? Germany was not created by United States of America. And
it?
he told me that I started the research and then I was able to read for myself. I read from my research, I found out that the first person who became free in the United States from slavery was Mom Beth in Massachusetts. She was a slave of Ashton. And she heard after they passed the Constitution in Massachusetts that all persons were created equal. She said, "Why am I a slave when I'm supposed to be created equal to this guy?" She challenged him in court. And in 1781, she won the case. She became the first person to challenge the lawsuit, making her free. Beth versus Ashley. It's a case law here. You know, so the companies want their client, the governments want their client, and they support elections. The United States government is spending $165 million on elections in African nations. They don't care whether there's no representation within the government. They don't care whether these people are making huge salaries. And this is why I'm taking this matter to the Massachusetts delegation to come to get a copy of the petition and take it to their members of Congress because the United States government is complicit in the corruption in Liberia in two ways. Number one, when people go to the embassy to apply for visa, they take their money and deny them visa and keep their money. That's number one. Number two, actually, it's three reasons. Three reasons why United States is complicit. The first reason is that United States created Liberia in an illegal manner because they were not supposed to create Liberia. And the Attorney General, William Ritt, wrote opinion number 29229 and said you cannot use American taxpayers' money to go buy land overseas. You cannot use taxpayers' money to transport American citizens from here. You can use the money only to transport slaves that will be captured on the high seas. You cannot take anyone from the United States and carry them over there. They did just that, and they started looking for a scapegoat and called American Colonization Society, which was not even registered at that time. So,
Mm.
informing Liberia, they are complicit in taking money from Liberia. They're also complicit because they have a document right there at the embassy that is classified, secret document that says, "Do not give any visa to these black people that are fleeing the violence, but give it to Lebanese and in it." That is a violation of the 14th uh, 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 of the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. The United States government has violated that, and we have to declassify this document. So they are complicit in the corruption in Liberia. Therefore, we as Americans today, we as American citizens today need to rise up to the occasion and challenge the government because we pay the taxes that is being consumed and destroyed in Liberia. We are complicit in the atrocities in Liberia. We are complicit in the ritualistic killings in Liberia as American citizens because we pay the taxes. And some of us know more than Joe Biden. We know more
Mhm.
of what the situation is. Representative Benjamin Swan did the best. You visited the place 3 times. I want to send you the video for you to play it. But he visited the place 3 times, saw the deprivation, and he said, "This is not the way it's supposed to be." And since then, we pick up the baton and we are moving forward with it. But we cannot let the Liberians do it by themselves. We need to get involved as the people who are financing the corruption, the degradation of the place, and the dehumanification of Liberian people by the system of governance in Liberia.
I do agree. To be honest with you, with everything that's going on now, especially everyone getting ready to basically dismiss the U.S. dollar in their country, um, the value of the Liberian dollar was a concern that I had as well, because it's basically like you just there's no value to it. Um, I want to see the government stand for something. I really do. And I say that because I'm a US citizen that, plans on making my home there, wanting to invest in the country as a whole because I just love the people. And I really think when it comes to the visa system, it is all corruption on our side here in the States because the fees are ridiculous. And there is no priority in the situation. And let me say that because a lot of people that get into this process, they feel that because you're a U.S. citizen, you get priority. No, you don't. There is no priority, depending on what country you're trying to pull your loved ones or your spouses out of,
Mhm.
and they take your fees on this side, and you want to reapply, you just keep paying. And that's what you do. You know what I mean? On the hopes of
Yeah,
one day it'll be approved. We need to do something about this system. A lot of our African countries, to me, are blacklisted when it comes to access to the United States. That's a concern.
Well,
That's a big
that is
concern.
a serious concern, and the thing is that the government officials do not care to talk about it. I can tell you, we can bring change this year in Liberia, so far as that issue of blacklisting the entire continent of Africa. When it's time for foreign policy, the president Joe Biden will host all African leaders at the White House for a dinner, as if we don't
Hmm.
host them for a dinner, and then they stand and take pictures and say, "Well, we'll give you $65 million and blah blah blah." But
Hmm.
why is it that there is not one African nation among the visa waiver countries when the laws clearly says that Liberia, at a time when it was under the United States of America, under the United States military, 1824, all persons born in Liberia were entitled to all privileges enjoyed by American citizens. The 1847 Constitution, miscellaneous Article 1, says that all laws prior to this Constitution remains in force until it's going to be until it is canceled by the legislature, and then
Hmm.
it wasn't. It continues that way up to 1986, and Article 95 of the 1986 Constitution still says this: these laws, these old laws that have not been are still in force. But the problem is when you have the politicians coming to be in the pocket of the foreign government and to be in the pockets of the to be in the pockets of the foreign government, to be in the pockets of foreign companies, then it makes it difficult for them to make decisions for the people. It's not a government of the people. It's not. um, It is a government by the people. The people vote, but it's not a government of the people. It's not a government for the people. It's a government
Hmm.
bill. And we have to change that this year because if Joe Barker or Senator Cohen, if they really believe they love the people, let's go back to scratch and develop a new blueprint for our nation, not the one created to empower and enrich the politician. I just want to tell you, we did a survey, a polling across the entire Republic of Liberia, and I'm going to send that to you. I should have sent it to you earlier. I'll send it to you for
Hmm.
you in on this thing on this broadcast.
Yes,
Over,
you can actually. If you want to, I could pull it up. If you can email it to me real quick,
yeah, I'm going to email that to you
and that
right now. But
that way we can show it.
yeah, what people are saying right now about the situation, and over 40%, over 40% of the people say they want a new form of government. They want a
Hmm.
different government. They want participatory democracy. Over 70% of the voters say they want participatory democracy where they will have a voice in how much their public servants make.
Hmm.
Over, over 70%. And all these guys who are running, not one of them have said, we want to change the system. They say, oh, put me in there and I will change it. All of them, everyone says, put me in there.
I have not heard one good speech, yet as to, I know things take time. Um, Anything economically uh, we're trying to redevelop is going to take time. I get that. Um, I know at one point China did have a deal in Liberia to, take over the road construction. What happened with that, we don't know. There's a lot of stuff with the marketplace that's supposed to be developed. What happened with that, we don't know. Um, there's a lot of behaviors that go unexcused when it comes to the political parties in Liberia. Um, I want the people to understand, and what I think is, I think that they feel like maybe they don't have the right to say anything, or, are they too small to make a difference? But it has to do with the mindset overall, I think, of the people that they have to really understand that they do have power. And if they come together in number, they can make a big difference when it comes to voting. I think in the election, people are more just excited to vote
Oh yeah,
overall, and they're not even paying attention to, you know, this person that they're voting for. How is it going to affect them? What changes are going to come? Like, there's a lot of things that we need to really like educate people on, and I do think your program would definitely give them some empowering tools to make better decisions when it comes to selecting their officials.
yeah. I think that is true. Can you text me your email again? A, uh, I'll send you the graphic, so you can just see what people are saying in America and in all these places. They're wearing T-shirts. You bring your T-shirt today, they put it on. You bring T-shirt tomorrow, they put it on. Everybody's wearing T-shirts. But when you ask them, do you really believe this government is going to change your life? They say,
They
well,
don't know.
and they've gone through this same so many times. We've had so many elections, but elections is not democracy. When the people decide, that's when we have democracy. Okay, I'm going to get that. Okay, there's a graph there on the email that shows the different counties and the responses they had to the different things. Um, you'll go all the way down, you'll see, you know, the responses that they're giving in different parts of the country. People want the citizens to have a voice in the government, not just the politicians, but the way it's set up. This is how I explain it. The corruption is like a big drum, like a 50-gallon drum of quota. And all these people that
Hmm.
are running right now saying, put me there, I'm going to clean it up. They're going to get messed up and not clean up. They're not going to clean anything because if you go in the corruption, you come out corrupted. That's the way it is. And so what we're talking about is to dump the whole 50 gallon of quota and get a brand new gallon that is that doesn't have the tie in it. That's one thing. The
Hmm.
second thing again is if you want to go anywhere, you need to have the proper vehicle. If you want to go across the ocean, you can't take a bicycle and drive it across the ocean. You know, if you want to go across the ocean, you can't take a big truck. You got to use a ship. If you want to fly in the air, you cannot use a ship to fly, or you can't use a bicycle. We don't have the proper we don't have the proper vehicle or state that's going to be serving the people to make sure that if God sends an inventor, he will become an inventor before he dies. To make sure that if God sends an engineer, he will become an engineer before he dies. The system we have is just for people to build houses, for the politicians to build houses, and to be recycled. Most of these guys have been in government for years and years and years. Senators are there for 9 years. 9 years. In New Hampshire, senators only 2 years and they get $200 for a 2 year term. They are serving the people.
Wow.
I actually drove 5 hours to talk to Senator Claire. Why would someone who is a college graduate with master's degree serve as a senator for $2? She laughed and she explained it to me. She said, I'm learning. The work in the Senate is like going to university. I'm learning from all of my constituents, and they give me all.
Hmm.
By the time I get out of that 2 year, I have a vast wealth of knowledge. And government is not a place to make money. I can use that knowledge to go into corporate, and I can make money from there. In Liberia, that's not the case. All these guys that don't have a penny when they become president, they start building mansions. When they become lawmakers, they start building, and everybody knows that. And therefore, today there are people now in Secretary making roles. I want to be a representative, so I'm making roles to be a representative. Where were you before? If you make, and some people even building bridges in Liberia, they want to build bridge for them to be elected. And once they're elected, they're going to make millions of dollars from that place. But the people, democracy is what the people do. If the people
Hmm.
are uneducated, don't have quality education, that bridge is nothing. If they don't have quality education, bringing companies in is nothing. It's not going to work. That is why the Free Liberia movement is investing in the people themselves so that the people can become what God Almighty intended them to be: scientists, engineers, inventors. And the current system of government has not been able to do it because it was created by slave masters. It was created by the government of the United States that continues to lie about it. It was created
Hmm.
by slave masters, and it was created to keep people happy in poverty. And that's exactly what's going on.
So now I'm going to try to bring this one of the images up. It's kind of this platform is kind of it's very small. I don't think you can
I
see it.
thought it was big for a moment. A few moments ago, it was large enough.
Yeah, it was hang on one second.
The one that said, um, in your opinion, what's the greatest challenge Liberia faces today? 67.5% said a new system of governance, and an additional 29% said, 57% rather, an additional 29% said that more power for citizens.
Hmm.
This one is big, but our pictures are covering it. So
I know that this platform doesn't allow me to share the screen. If we were on Zoom, let's
oh,
see. Let me try. Ah, here we go. Let's see here.
yeah, that's at 29.8% plus 57.5%. 57.5%, 28.9%. People want to participate in their government not as politicians, but as citizens. The citizen is the highest official in the land. The citizen is in that position. It's because of the vote of the citizen that you get a president, that you get members of the House of Representatives, and so that they can serve the citizen. But in Liberia is not good. Okay, yeah, thank you. That's it.
There we go.
What is the greatest challenge Liberia faces today? 181 responses. This is 57.5 says a new system of governance and more power for citizens. So if you add the more power for citizens to a new system of governance, you got you got majority, a vast majority. Nobody is running on this. This is a clear agenda for winning the votes across the country. You know,
Hmm.
nobody's they don't even they don't even they don't even poll the citizens before running. If you have a lot of money in your pocket, you just take a bulldozer. You say, "I'm making your roads. I'm bringing development. You elect me." So you get one
Wow.
person bringing development, as opposed to, like, I'm from Nima County, for example. We got almost 600,000 people. 600,000 people. You can bring development. You compare 600,000 people bringing development to one representative coming to bring bulldozer, where all the people are in poverty. It
Hmm.
makes sense. You bring one company, and the company wants engineers to work, and the people are not educated. They don't have any access. It's just so crazy. But it has lasted for 200 years because it's been sustained by American taxpayers. American taxpayers created this place. American taxpayers sustain this place. And no matter how many dollars these people steal, they still remain in power. That's why when the ambassador was lamenting the corruption, I said, well, you are looking at what was created by the United States, made in the United States of America. That's what.
Hmm. Well, I hope this election changes, begins to change some things in the country, and I hope that the Liberian people, as I want to say,
Wake up to reality.
wake up to reality, Liberia. It's time. Okay? It's time for peace. It's time for economic growth and development. It's time for you to rise as the great country that you are. I love Liberia. It's a beautiful country.
Rich.
And I definitely rich in resources. And that's something that I'm seeing too. A lot of African countries now are taking the stance of, understanding what resources their country has. Um, do you think Liberia will be at the table with South Africa, Saudi, China, Russia when this new European Union begins to form?
Well, I am going to do everything I can to bring this education. Without the education, the people will perish. And it's not. I'm not just bringing it to Liberia. We're starting in Liberia because Liberia is the first um, republic in Africa, but we're going to move from Liberia to Sierra Leone. On
Hmm.
the 6th of May, there's going to be coronation of King Charles in London. This is a tyrant that has, caused atrocities around the world. For
Hmm.
over 1,000 years, the British Crown has been responsible for colonization, for atrocities, for all sorts of things. And now, instead of coming up in the public to confess their sins, they're going to put a crown on his head. And guess what? The United States taxpayers' money will be spent when our first lady tries to go over there, paying American taxes to go in the coronation and other countries. I think Charles should just apologize for the atrocities of crimes against humanity for he and his family and
Oh yeah.
get a job like everyone else and
Amen to that.
have abolition of the British crown. The British crown has been destructive to the whole world, and I don't see how people are celebrating the British uh, crown and fighting
I
against
don't think they know.
colonization.
And that's the problem. I don't think that they know the
No, I'm
history
talking about people
behind the British
like
Crown.
Biden. I'm talking about people like President Biden, who spent $6.8 million to go
Oh,
to.
he knows. They're benefiting from it.
Yes.
They're benefiting from it. There's nothing that no, and me being an American, and I'm just going to keep it real. We have a different level of corruption than any other country, and I think um, how they control us here is working us to death, pretty much. So that's a different level of corruption that we deal with. But at the same time, they give us just enough opportunity to not pay attention to what they're really doing behind the scenes.
Mhm.
So corruption is the basis of any government. I haven't seen a government that isn't corrupt in some way, shape, or form. I haven't seen one.
There may not be a perfect government because the whole human race itself, we are all sinners, and according to Romans chapter 3, you know, the greed and all of that is part of the human experience. However, there are so many countries that have a blueprint created by the citizens to serve the people, and you see that in a lot of places. And it doesn't exist in Liberia, and sadly, it doesn't really exist in the United States because even in the United States right now, majority of the people in this country are crying for tougher gun control. And the gun lobby is so powerful because they go to Congress and they pay money in Congress. And so
Hmm.
they have this power in the United States. Gun mass shootings can be um, minimized if we have participatory democracy where the people can make the law themselves. Because from every poll, majority of the people in this country want tougher gun laws or more humane situation. But then we have the Congress that is gridlocked.
Hmm.
People who go to Congress have to sway to their political party or their ideology and stuff like this.
Yes, and with on that note, with that being said, there's so much stuff that we can touch on with this, Reverend Torley. But I really want you again to state the website, the Facebook page that people can go to sign up for the training. Please take advantage of this, y'all. I've signed up because I want to be informed about a country that I feel will be my second home. I want, better things for Liberia. It's a beautiful country and it has the potential to be so many things. but you yourself have to fight for it. And
Yeah.
as I say again,
Wake up.
Liberia.
Yeah. I'm gonna send you another wake up from Nima County. It's performed
Okay.
by students in Nima County to mimic the voices of the roosters and a whole lot of animals. It's like all these animals are saying, wake up, wake up, wake up. Every
Yeah.
morning there's a wake up call in all villages across Liberia, from the rooster, from the duck, from something called kui, from I'm gonna send that to you. I think you would like
Yeah, please do, because it will definitely be needed on this platform, y'all. Well, I want to just say I thank you so much for giving us your time tonight. I know you are a very busy man, going across the globe, doing great things for great people all the time, y'all. Please, if y'all need to get in touch with Reverend Torley, how can they get in touch with you, Rev? And
okay,
just,
yeah, so the website is www.freeliberia.org, freeliberia.org. On Facebook is the Free Liberia Movement. Otherwise, on the website we have the phone numbers of the Universal Human Rights that you can also connect.
and you definitely can reach out to me if you missed that information. I will definitely put you on to how to get to Reverend Torley and his program. I will post the links also in the live feed and on my Facebook page. If you have any questions, just inbox me directly and I will patch you over to Reverend Torley and you can talk with him. Be on the lookout. We're going to do more of these. I think if I can get more people on the platform to just have the conversation of what can make things better, um, I think that's a start, a conversation, to get the juices flowing mentally. And we'll have more time and, more conversation, Reverend Torley. I want to thank you again
Thank you.
for, coming on and just letting us know and keeping us informed.
Thank you so much.
Well, there you have it, y'all. This is your girl, DJ Go Getta. Y'all know Freestyle Live will be back June. I tell you, we got a special guest coming. Going to Bollywood. I'm not going to release it yet, but I'll let you know. Most definitely stay on the lookout for much, much more to come for 1K Productions. And I will be in the LIB August 21st to September 6th. So artists, get at me if you want your interviews. This time I'm about business. Have a good night, y'all. Reverend Tony, peace out to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed the information tonight. We're going to try to switch it up this season. Music, life, information. We're going to all have it right here on this platform, Freestyle Live. But this is Wake Up Liberia. Y'all know what it is. It's time for y'all to wake up. Let's
Wake
get
up
it
to
and let's
reality.
go. Wake up to reality, y'all. It's your girl, DJ Go Getta, over and out.